If you've ever dealt with male or female pattern hair loss, that thinning we call androgenetic alopecia, you definitely know how frustrating it can be. We usually chalk it up to, like, just genetics or hormones, right? But what if the real story happening right there on your scalp is actually a lot more complex?
Oh, it absolutely is. And, the science is really starting to show that AGA isn't just about the hormones. There's this really fascinating interplay going on.
Interplay? Like what?
Well, things like persistent microinflammation and even, believe it or not, the actual, ecosystem of your scalp's microbiome.
Okay, interesting. So today we're doing a deep dive into something you might literally have in your shower right now. Ketoconazole shampoo.
Right, the stuff many people know for dandruff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're going to unpack its surprising kind of tripartite mechanism. Turns out it's a pretty powerful player against hair thinning.
It really can be.
So if you've ever felt just overwhelmed by all the info out there, wondering what really works, and importantly, why it works, then yeah, this dive is definitely for you. We're hoping to connect some dots.
Yeah, maybe provide some aha moments. So, okay, what's fundamentally happening with hair thinning? The big hormonal player, as many know, is DHT dihydrotestosterone.
Right, the one that shrinks the follicles.
Precisely. It causes miniaturization, shortens that growth phase. But that's not the whole picture. We also see this persistent low-level inflammation right around the hair follicles. It's almost like a subtle, constant irritation.
Okay, that inflammation piece sounds really important. But what's actually causing it? Is it just the body reacting? Or is something else, maybe from the scalp environment itself, playing a role?
That's where it gets really interesting. A major trigger, often, is a very common yeast that lives on basically everyone's scalp. It's called Malassezia.
Malassezia. Okay, I've heard of that with dandruff.
Exactly. So androgens hormones like DHT, they actually increase oil production, the sebum, on your scalp.
Which feeds the yeast.
You got it. It's perfect food for Malassezia. So when the yeast overgrows, it kicks off this whole inflammatory cascade that doesn't just cause dandruff. It seems to actively make the hair loss worse, too. It's a real vicious cycle.
Wow, okay.
And this is why Ketoconazole shampoo, even though it started as a dandruff treatment, is actually so strategic here. Its mechanism is, as you said, tripartite, 3 parts.
Okay, break it down for us. Part 1.
Part 1, it's a potent antifungal. It directly targets that Malassezia yeast. It messes with its cell walls, basically, knocking back the yeast population significantly.
Right, so get the yeast under control and you reduce one big source of that inflammation. What's part 2 then?
Exactly, which leads straight into part 2.
Yeah.
It's anti-inflammatory. With less Malassezia, you get fewer of those inflammatory signal cytokines, they're called, around the follicles.
So it calms everything down.
It helps calm the scalp, restores a healthier environment. Think of it like prepping the soil for better hair growth.
Okay, antifungal, anti-inflammatory. Now, I've heard whispers about a third thing, which sounds kind of surprising for a shampoo. Does it actually do anything about the androgens, the hormones, directly?
It does, which is pretty remarkable, but we need to be clear about the extent. It's not like taking a prescription pill, obviously.
Sure.
But topical ketoconazole, applied on the scalp, it seems to locally inhibit some enzymes involved in making androgens right there. And it might also act as a weak blocker at the androgen receptor itself.
So a mild local effect on the DHT pathway.
A mild local disruption, exactly, right at the follicle level.
Okay, so with those 3 angles, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and this mild anti-androgen bit, what does the research actually show? Does it really help with thinning hair? How does it stack up?
The clinical evidence is, well, it's not as huge as for, say, Minoxidil or finasteride, but it's quite compelling. There are studies, including a pretty well-known one from back in '98, that showed 2% ketoconazole shampoo led to improvements in hair density and, importantly, hair shaft diameter. And the results were remarkably similar to what they saw with 2% Minoxidil in that same study.
Well, hold on. Similar results to Minoxidil. That's pretty significant. So we're talking about making the individual hairs thicker, even if it's not necessarily growing tons of new ones.
That's a key finding, yes. Multiple reviews highlight that increase in hair shaft diameter. It directly tackles that miniaturization problem. And for you, the user, that often translates into a visible improvement in just the overall fullness and quality of your hair.
Okay, practical question then. If you're listening and thinking about trying this, what's the key? Is the 1% stuff you get over the counter good enough?
Good question. For androgenetic alopecia specifically, you really want the 2% prescription strength. The 1% is mainly for milder dandruff, It likely won't have the same level of impact on the hair loss factors we discussed.
So 2% is the target.
Yes. And crucially, think of ketoconazole as a fantastic adjunctive therapy. It works alongside the big guns like finasteride tackling DHT systemically, minoxidil stimulating growth. Ketoconazole optimizes the scalp environment for those treatments. It's that foundational soil treatment we talked about.
Right, making the ground fertile for other things to work better. And you mentioned consistency.
Yeah.
What's the secret to actually getting results with it?
Absolutely. Beyond getting the 2% strength, the biggest keys are consistency and contact time. You generally use it 2, maybe 3 times a week. But the critical part, you have to leave it on your scalp for 3 to 5 minutes before you rinse it out.
3 to 5 minutes. Okay, that's longer than just a quick wash.
Way longer. That contact time is essential for the active ingredient to actually penetrate and do its job. Don't just wash it right off.
Good tip. And timelines. What can people expect?
You might feel scalp benefits, like less itch or flake within weeks. Reduced shedding could take a few months. And those visible thickness improvements, probably closer to 6 months or more. Side effects are usually pretty mild. Maybe some local irritation, dryness.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the big picture takeaway here on Ketoconazole Shampoo?
The big picture is it's way more than just a dandruff shampoo. For androgenetic alopecia, it's a really smart, multi-pronged approach.
Right, calms that inflammation.
Calms inflammation, helps rebalance the scalp microbiome by targeting Malassezia.
And gives that little bit of local anti-androgen effect.
Exactly. All working together, it really is that foundational soil treatment setting the stage for healthier hair.
So that 2% prescription version, used the right way, remembering that vital 3 to 5 minute contact time.
Vital.
Well, it sounds like a pretty low risk, potentially high value addition to a hair care routine, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you're already using things like minoxidil or finasteride.
Absolutely. It helps create that optimal environment for your hair to really have its best chance to thrive.
It really makes you think, what other simple things, maybe things we already use for something else, might have this deeper untapped potential if we just, really understood the full science behind them.
That's a great point. It's not just about treating one symptom, is it? It's about understanding that whole intricate living ecosystem that is your scalp.